So we need to talk about why comfort is making us weak here today. Constant convenience, avoidance, and comfort is destroying our discipline, our confidence, and our resilience. And it's doing so in a very slow, nefarious way. And so in this video, we want to talk about what's actually happening to us as a society, but then also, of course, watch till the end of the video so we can talk about what you can do to actually stop this from happening. And you're going to have to do abnormal things again that most people aren't willing to do because most people are living in a life of comfort. Now, people may not be thriving financially a lot of times or even all over the country, but that doesn't mean that they're not living in comfort. A lot of times people just have enough, just enough to get by. And so they sit in that comfort and then oftentimes complain. I did the video about the dog and the nail, right? The old man's dog is laying on the rusty nail and it's whimpering. And then the guy comes over and asks him, "Hey, how come your dog's not moving off that rusty nail?" And the old man says, "Because it doesn't hurt enough." So oftentimes we don't make any big changes in our life until it hurts too much. So it's better to nip it in the bud. So how is this happening? Look at the little details, okay? I just I'm a noticer. So I noticed, look at the theme now of people riding more e-bikes. Have you noticed that? Very small detail. People are riding around on e-bikes where like you have to pedal, but it like assists you. Now I understand that like elderly people and people that want to go for long bike rides and may not be able to do it normally. This is a great invention. I'm not saying there's anything against the e-bike, but I see more and more people that are opting for these e-bikes instead of just a pedal bicycle. That's just one of those tiny details that just makes you just a little bit lazier. Instead of having to pedal your way to your destination, now you have the e-bike. Let's look at food, right? Instead of having to cook your meals at home, a lot of people are opting for DoorDash, delivery services. Even Walmart will deliver groceries to your doorstep. So that extra step of having to drive, walk the parking lot, walk through the store, think of what these things are doing to your health. All those missteps, all that missed interaction outside in society, these things are making us comfortable. There's Netflix. You don't even have to go to see the movie. I mean, the list goes on. And when you're what happens when you become so comfortable, right? That it starts to negatively affect your life is that when you get comfortable, the more comfortable you get, it's just like a muscle that hasn't been worked, the uncomfortable muscle. So when you want to get fit and healthy and then start to escape from this matrix, the whole point of this channel, again, is to help people to not be dependent on these systems that are encroaching on every aspect of our life, right? Whether it's the financial system, the economy, strangling, the housing market. It's harder and harder to get housing. It's harder and harder to buy cars. Everything's more expensive, right? It's harder. We become more dependent. These systems come in like a boa constrictor. And before you know it, it's got its icy grip all over you. And so the more comfortable you get, the less likely you are to do uncomfortable things and the harder it is to do uncomfortable things. It's just like, let's take fitness for example. If you have been if you've been lazy for a few years, some people have just been like very sedentary for years, maybe even decades. And then you decide to get into the gym. Guess what? It is hard. It's much harder for an overweight type 2 diabetic person to get into the gym and start than it is for me, someone that's used to going every single day. I've already got a huge leg up in the fitness department. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. And obviously I think everyone should be working out and trying to get as healthy as they can. But the inertia is so slow because you've been so sedentary for so long that just getting into the gym, you get people that get like mental blocks. They get nervous, they get anxiety, they think everyone's staring at them, which people are not. I'll tell you right now, they are not. They're looking at the hot chicks, all right? Let's just be honest. Um, but like, so you get comfortable for years and then you decide to change it and it's harder. But once you start to get the momentum going, it also works in the opposite way where once you get in a groove, it does become easier. Now, coincidentally and paradoxically, what ends up happening a lot of times, especially with fitness and health, is people, and I've experienced this many times in the past, don't get me wrong, is you start to become consistent for a week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, maybe even a month, and then you drop off. Because what happens is you almost get into another state of comfort. You're feeling better, you're feeling better. Things are moving in the right direction. Your health is getting better. Your body composition is improving. Your weight's dropping. Your strength is increasing. You're getting more confidence in yourself. And then what happens? You feel like, you know what, I feel really good, and maybe I can just go out and party. I've earned it. And then you backslide, right? You backslide into bad habits. Before you know it, you're right back where you started. This is why it's so important to get uncomfortable every single day. And that's what I really want to harp on for the last bit of this video is you need to get uncomfortable every single day. There's many different ways to do this, but what you're trying to do is build up your body's resilience to these uncomfortable things. Purposefully making yourself uncomfortable is a lot more effective and causes a better hormonal and dopamine release than having to suffer from uncomfortable circumstances that you don't wish for, right? Let's say you're flat broke and your bank account is zero and you have no hope in sight. That's uncomfortable. That's not the kind of uncomfortable you want to be in, right? Because now you have to deal with that problem and you're going to have to go through the mental gymnastics and suffering and anxiety that goes along with that. So the idea of making yourself uncomfortable would be something like taking a cold shower, like I'm about to do after this video, because I just did my workout before making this video. So what the cold shower does is it has health benefits, yes, but you take a hot shower, you're very comfortable in that hot shower, right? The hot shower feels nice. And then I just blast it on cold for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. Sometimes I go a little bit longer. Um, again has very good health benefits, but it's uncomfortable. You know that every time you blast that cold water, for a little while there, you're gonna purposefully make yourself uncomfortable. And so it seems like it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it adds up, and these things compound over. So like making these videos, right? I don't get super excited before making the YouTube video, especially as my channel is small and growing, knowing that I don't have this massive audience, right? But I am trying to grow it. But this is making me uncomfortable. Now, once I get into the video, I can tend to open up a bit, right? Once you get into the actual activity, you start to get into your groove. It's almost like going for a long hike. I used to hike a lot of 14ers. I mean, I still do here and there. But like you think about, oh man, this is going to be like a 6 hour hike, and it makes you uncomfortable. It's hard to get excited about starting the 6 hour hike. Then you get into that hike, and then you're talking with your friends or your family, and the endorphins are rushing. And before you know it, you're in a groove. You've enabled yourself to become comfortable at being uncomfortable. Now let's like apply this at the end of this video here to these different areas that I was talking to at the beginning of the video. Something as simple as the e-bike, right? Get a pedal bicycle. You're going to have to work harder to get to where you're going, right? But it's that little tiny detail. Instead of door dashing, maybe drive down, even if you go to a fast food restaurant, instead of ordering the fast food and having it delivered to you, get in your car and go down there and get it. Or better yet, walk down the street and get it. And maybe on the way there, you'll actually start to talk to yourself a little bit and make a better food decision because of the time difference there, right? Instead of sitting there, because these comforts compound, right? People tend to compound. I call it the dopamine stacking. I don't want to go too much in this video, but dopamine stacking is essentially bad habits compound on top of each other. It's the best example I can give without going too far off topic is like casinos, right? I've gone to casinos, right? And this is what you see. People are banging away on the slot machine, which is going to be that first comfort, that first dopamine rush. They're also smoking a cigarette as they're doing it. So they're getting that other dopamine hit. And they're also drinking a beer while they're doing that. And maybe they're listening to music while they're doing that. Before you know it, you're just in this tornado of dopamine stacking. But going back to the beginning of or back to the video at hand. tiny uncomfortable situations that you put yourself through daily that you know are going to be better in the long run, right? You're going to get better at being uncomfortable. It's going to build confidence. And usually better things happen to you in the long run. You tend to attract better situations, better luck, better finances, right? All these things. If you go to the gym every day and you start working out and you start pushing it and pushing the weight and improving and learning about that, you'll have a tendency to become healthier. You'll have a tendency to move in the right direction. Okay. So we need to first notice, this is the end of the video, just to recap. We need to notice that we're becoming super comfortable and that we're becoming dependent on these systems, the government, other people around us to protect us, the welfare state, all of these bureaucracies that I see around me that really annoy me every single day. We need to notice that they're happening, but then not fixate on them. Fixate on how to get out of those systems. Get out of the mainstream healthcare system by making yourself healthy. Get out of the debt credit trap by learning to make more money in this day and age so that you aren't in debt, so that you don't have to be dependent on predatory loans and all these things going on, right? Get out of the consumption trap where you feel like you have to have a car that you can't afford, or that you have to live above your means, or that you have to buy that little coffee every single day, right? Make yourself uncomfortable by going without and saving your money, right? So, guys, that's the video. Please subscribe and like if you like the content. We're going to be discussing all types of things to make you harder to break.